Well, I promise if I elected, I will be looking at how to keep Dollis Hill safe, how to keep Dollis Hill clean streets. I will promise as well to protect our green spaces we have in Gladstone Park and Dollis Hill as well. And also I promise I will look at the council tax at a lower rate, so we can have this a good rate for the council tax. Plus, I will be campaigning against Willesden Library, Willesden Green Library. Okay, they're trying to demolish it. I'm against that. I'm trying to keep this one historic place for us, for our kids. I can't believe that we're losing Willesden Green Library. I'm not with rehousing people in where we have our history place over there. Why we don't build the luxury flats, okay, where the council will have luxury offices in there, okay, somewhere else? Why it needs to be in where is the library, Willesden Green Library is? They can rehouse the people, and I am 100% sure there is a an option with all the boroughs and all the councils for rehousing people outside the borough if they wish to. But no, I'm against building a luxury flats over there where the council will have a share, okay, of having a luxury offices in the same building. So I'm totally against that.
Thank you.
If the council doesn't get planning permission for its application, it will be back where it was in February 2011, needing to weigh up the options and examine the feasibility of the various approaches. But this time it should do it properly, openly and in partnership with the local community. I believe passionately that where local people come up with good ideas and are enthusiastic for the area in which they live, the council should take advantage of this and work with them. Sadly, whether on the closure of the libraries or other issues like street cleaning, we have a council administration which takes "we know best, don't ask awkward questions" attitude. Local Labour leader Anne John and her party colleagues seem only too happy to tell us what is good for us, but less interested in listening to us when we have something to say. The 1894 Old Library is a characterful building, clearly a valuable part of the high street scene. Personally, I don't think the same can be said of the 1989 building, despite its relatively youthful age. However, I've no doubt that an imaginative and talented architect could create some really attractive and practical ideas, whether they involve refurbishing or demolishing the 1989 building. There are lots of methodologies, like planning for real, that can involve local people in this sort of process. It's telling that the Labour leaders at Brent Council chose not to use any of them. We need a high-quality library in Willesden Green, even more so following the closure of Cricklewood, Neasden and Kelsall Rise. We also need the community rooms. I think the museum and archive do good work too. I wouldn't want to lose them to an obscure corner of the new Civic Centre in Wembley. While on the topic of the new Civic Centre, it's natural to locate access to some council services with the library, saving local residents a trip across the North Circular. There is a place for some commercial activity, such as a bookshop and a cafe, but these should support the main function of the centre, not be its raison d'etre. We're short of open space in Willesden Green, and building over the existing open spaces without adequate replacement would be a tragedy that couldn't later be reversed. You ask about viability, which brings me back to my first point. We don't know what the viability of different schemes is, because the council have never published the figures. It preferred to rush straight into the arms of a developer and has pursued a single option ever since. High-quality schemes, whether refurbishment or replacement, need to be paid for, and that will probably involve some mixed-use redevelopment. But I firmly believe this should be a scheme developed by and with the local community, not imposed by a council that refuses to listen. Brent Council is currently run by the Labour Party, and the 10 councillors who make up the council's decision-making executive are all Labour councillors. Lib Dem councillors have strongly challenged Labour's approach to this project, including the failure to consult local people properly on the demolition of the old library and the principle of the redevelopment. In January, Lib Dem councillors took the relatively unusual step of calling in the Labour executive's decision to shut Willesden Library Centre for redevelopment because of 1. Concerns that important decisions had been delegated to officers and would not be subject to democratic scrutiny. 2. The inadequate interim service delivery strategy, that is, the service delivered to Library Centre users while the building is closed for redevelopment, including the failure to consider seriously the use of available closed libraries, especially in Cricklewood and Neasden. This was the basis of the papers I presented at that meeting, copies of which were sent to you previously. 3. Lack of clarity in the papers provided to members at the executive meeting about the design and functions of the proposed new building. The council kept these details secret until after the decision was made. 4. What were considered to be defects in the decision-making process. 5. Concerns about the consultation strategy drawn up by the developer's PR consultants, and particularly the fact that key issues, such as whether or not the old library should be retained, were decided by the council before the consultation started. As a result, implementation of the decision was halted while the call-in committee considered the issue. The process enabled a number of local residents and organisations to submit their concerns to councillors. It also uncovered new pieces of information, including the fact that the council consulted only 12 residents about the original decision to demolish the old library site and sell the land at the back of the site to developers for housing. You may be interested to know that Brent Central's Liberal Dem MP Sarah Tether also raised concerns with the council. However, when the issue was referred back to the executive, Labour councillors decided to press on with their original plan. It is now extremely important that as many local people as possible respond to the current consultation and give the council their views. Our Lib Dem councillors will listen to local people and take the results of the consultation seriously. We will press the Labour councillors who run Brent Council to do the same. We are concerned that the planning committee, which will need to decide whether or not to grant planning permission for the new buildings, will not be able to take into account some issues raised by residents, such as the loss of the bookshop, because these are not so-called planning matters. We are therefore calling on the councillor responsible for the Willesden Green Cultural Centre project to make sure that these non-planning matters are considered and responded to. If, at the end of the day, the council's plans do go ahead, we will fight to get the best deal possible for local people. This includes not only improving the interim service provision while the library is closed, but also working to improve the parking proposals and resolve other concerns. You can be assured I will continue to take a close interest in this project, and that I and my Lib Dem colleagues will continue to fight for residents' voices to be heard.